Hey, hi, how you doing? Uh, the best Illini Postgame Show from No One Asked Us. He's Craig. I'm Logan, coming to you live after the 100-87 loss to the Crimson Tide in Birmingham. Right off the bat, our stuff looks a little different. We're dealing with some stuff, but really all you're here for is just to listen to us talk. So ignore the fact that none of our graphics are here. Hello, Craig. How are you? Happy Wednesday.
It's late.
It is
I
late.
hate these
It is
9 o'clock
late.
tip
Yeah,
offs.
there's a lot of 9 o'clock games on the schedule for
Yeah.
us East Coasters. The Eastern time zone, I'm just not a fan. Just not a fan. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, let's talk about this. Illinois goes down to Birmingham, plays in a quote unquote neutral site game against Alabama. Alabama puts up 100 points. Illinois puts up 87. You know what? Fine. It's just kind of my response. My response to this is fine. Get in the chat. Let us know what you're doing. What's up? Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I see a few people are already in here. Let's just address this first comment that you have up on the screen from NDF. We got cooked, plain and simple. I don't agree. I really don't agree with that. I don't know how you feel. I don't think Illinois got cooked. I think this is a very inexperienced Illinois team that went up against a true Final Four contender. And Illinois still scored 87 points and only lost by 13 points. So I don't know if they got cooked, but they definitely have a ways to go before they are ready to compete in these kind of games. So let's just start there. Do you agree with me, or do you agree more with NDF?
I think I agree with you more, but I guess maybe once after the 15-minute mark of the first half, once I was like, maybe Illinois can win this. So it was never like even close.
No.
But I don't think cooked is the right word either.
Did you go into the game thinking Illinois could win this game? Or would win this game?
No, not would,
no. I mean,
I don't think cooked is the right word.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't feel like the game was ever in doubt either. I think Alabama was always winning this game.
No, they were always winning. Yeah, there was a point in the second half where Illinois cut the lead back down to single digits, but that quickly went away. And again, this is a game that Mark Sears, the reigning or the first team preseason All-American point guard, put up 0 points.
SEC Player of the Year.
Preseason SEC Player of the Year, scored 0 points. Cliff Amore scored 6 points and had 4 fouls.
Did you see?
And Andy Katz's tweet? I was going to address that.
I don't.
You don't follow
Andy Katz. No, Andy Katz blocked me.
Oh, excuse me. I just want to address this real quick since I brought him up. Andy Katz's tweet. Now that's the Alabama basketball squad I thought could be number one. Transfers Aiden Holloway and Cliff Amore proved to be impactful in the 100-87 win over Illinois. Cliff Amore had 4 fouls, played 15 minutes, scored 6 points, and had 6 rebounds. Is that impactful?
Andy Katz is an idiot.
He
might be the dumbest college basketball analyst in the country.
Of all the things to say like about that game, you pick out Cliff Amore who had 4 fouls at the 17-minute mark in the second half and had 4 points.
He clearly outplayed Grant Nelson.
Clearly,
Andy Katz eyes.
Clearly. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Illinois here. Yeah, this is an Illinois team that started 3-0 against mid-majors, some of the worst teams in basketball. And this is the first real test. This is a team that, in the exhibition game went down to Ole Miss, looked worse than this. They looked a lot better today than they did 4 weeks ago or whatever it was at Ole Miss. But this is an Illinois team that's still figuring things out. This is a young, inexperienced team that hasn't played a lot together. Most of them haven't played high major Division I basketball. So they're still, piecing things together. Alabama, on the other hand, a little bit more together, a lot of returning players, a lot of high impact transfers. They were the number one team coming into the season. Yes, they did lose at West Lafayette on Friday night, but this Alabama team is legit. So Illinois, I think my biggest takeaway here, I mean, what we said all season so far is like these early games against these big opponents. This game today, Arkansas on next Thursday, Thanksgiving, the Tennessee game. These are just going to be true tests for Illinois. What can they figure out in time for the Big Ten season to come together? And I was impressed with some of the things I saw today. I truly was. I was. A few of the things I wanted to see were Kylan Boswell stepping up, playing more of an impact role. He did that. Kasparis actually shooting the ball, putting the ball in the basket. He did that. He finished with 15 points. There was one other thing I was going to mention too. I don't remember. But both of those things happened. So again, you score 87 points against Alabama. I don't know what people are going to expect.
87 points. You had 5 guys in double figures. You shot 33% from 3. That's, you'd like to have more, but that's very acceptable with the amount of threes that this team shoots. I mean, you out-rebounded them by 7, 44 to 37. I mean, it came down to, I think, probably 2 things, I would say. It came down to Alabama's kind of a cliche word, Alabama's spurt ability. They just went on like 7-0 runs.
Yeah.
At a snap of a finger. And free throws. I mean, Illinois was 13 of 24 from the free throw line.
Yeah. You can't do that.
Alabama was 11 of 13. I mean, there was more that factored into it, but those are my 2 big takeaways. And before we get too far and this gets lost in the chat, do you want to tell them or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
NDF, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but Alabama is going to Chicago next year. That's part of the deal. So that game will happen next season in Chicago. No, I just recapping these games is always so weird because obviously you want to win the game, but I feel like everything I saw tonight makes me believe that in a month or 6 weeks, this team's going to be a top 4 team in the Big Ten. Like,
yeah.
Everything is there. The pieces are there. You have an outstanding point guard in Kasparis. I know he had 6 turnovers tonight. And I don't think I texted you or said it on the show. Maybe I'm coming out of left field here. Does Casper have some Curbelo in him?
Yeah, he's a flashy point guard. He's a flashy young point guard. Absolutely, he does.
Yeah,
for good and for bad.
This season's going to have a lot of Curbelo moments from Kasparis. I think Kasparis is a much better basketball player than Andre Curbelo, so I think the good will outweigh the bad with Kasparis, whereas a lot of times Curbelo's bad outweigh the good. So you got a good point guard, and I think, and it's starting to get more publicity, Kylan Boswell, his on-ball defense is going to make this team go.
Yeah.
When Illinois made the run, he was in their guards' grill. Their guards could not get any offense initiated. Yeah. I mean, and when Mark Sears was on the floor and Kylan Boswell was on the floor, I think Kylan was probably guarding Mark Sears. And how many points did Mark Sears have tonight? None. That is the key to Illinois' season. At least until, these guys play some more games together. Like right now, that's what's going to hold this team together is Kylan Boswell on the on-ball guard. Tommy Ivisic is everything we had hoped in a big. I mean, he just went up against a Final Four team from last year, Cliff Amori, who was on a Rutgers team for the last 2 or 3 years, and he all but held his own. 14 points, 10 boards. Only 2 fouls. I'd like to, you you had some fouls to give there, Tommy. You don't have to back off every time. Go try and get some blocks. He's good, and I think I did it again. I said Trey Riley. Will
Trey White,
Riley.
Will
Yeah.
Riley.
Will Riley has the makings to be the go-to scorer. 18 points, 3 of 4 from 3, 9 rebounds tonight, 29. I mean, those 4 right there give you a chance. You just have to, every night you have to have a couple other guys step up, and this team's going to be fine. The one thing that really worries me is the defense, because a lot of their shots tonight were wide open, especially early on. That first 10 minutes when Grant Nelson started going off, they were wide open. And he came on late, but if Benham Rickhouse is that much of a liability defensively and he's not making shots, he can't be out there.
Is it effort or scheming defensively? Because
this early, I'm going to hope it's scheming. It's this team trying to figure out how to play the defense Brad wants to play. But you got to remember, last year was terrible defensively too.
Right.
So I thought this team might be better defensively. But today, I don't know if that's the case. Because, I mean, I was looking at the roster, and we've talked about it before. There's 2 guys shorter than 6'6" on this team. There's length on this team. So you would think that caused some problems, but there was no issues tonight with Alabama. And I know they're a Final Four team. They were number 1 preseason team or whatever. So this is about what I expected. I don't know that I expected double digits. I thought the line was pretty close at 8 or 9. But it's a game that, we're going to look back on in 3 weeks, a month, hopefully. And I mean, it's hopefully only good comes from this.
Yeah. No, I thought defensively, I don't think it was the effort. I think the effort was there. Alabama did get a lot of open shots, and they made a lot of open shots, especially early. I do think this team is better. I think this team potentially can be better defensively than what last year's team was, but I do know last year's team, one of the biggest issues last year defensively was you didn't have a proper center. You didn't have a 5-man, and you couldn't stop true post players. So that was a big ding. And then, of course, you didn't have Terrence Shannon for 10 games in the middle of the season either, who was your best defender. So, yeah, I mean, I think Kylan's obviously the head of the snake here defensively. And I think there are some certain weak spots. But I do think that will improve as the season goes on. I do think they need to figure out some of the rotations a little bit. Brad really only played 7 deep today. 8 deep?
Yeah.
8 deep.
8. Kerry Booth was non-existent.
Yeah, Kerry didn't play. Morez only got 9 minutes. He picked up 4 fouls pretty early. Trey White only played 16 minutes. I think that's the one we kind of need to talk about. I know the chats, and I've seen Twitters, already calling for Will to take that starting spot, which I get. I mean, I absolutely get. I will say, though, there are times where Will Riley absolutely looks like a 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, the whole first half, like, there was so much standing around. He didn't look like he was ready in the first half. But then, of course, the second half he goes off, and I don't know how many points he scored in the second half. But so I totally understand the argument. I think from a talent standpoint, absolutely. I do want to see more from Trey White, though. And I feel like we did see it early on tonight. But again, the defense is, it's one of those things where you'd like to have Ty, but I don't know. I don't know how many minutes there are for Ty there. It's just one of those things where I can't blame him for, it's like the sincere thing last year. You just can't blame him for not wanting to only play 15 minutes a game. You could have used him, but I totally get it. I mean, do you think you're ready to already switch up the starting lineup? You ready to move on from this group? Do you think Brad will? Brad's not one to.
Brad's stubborn about that. Yeah. So he's always said, even since he got here, he said that starting lineups don't matter to him.
Exactly. Well, that was going to be my question. Do you think they matter? Do you think it matters who starts?
Yes, not so much matters who starts, but the ability to have a guy like Will Riley come in with your second unit, or 5 minutes into the game, I think that does add something.
I agree. I mean,
Um,
I 100% agree. I personally, I've said this for a while. I would rather see him come off the bench.
yeah,
I don't know that he likes that, and I'm sure the fan base doesn't like that either. But I just think that adds so much to you when you already have offensive weapons starting the game that you can bring him off the bench with that second line with him and Dre and Merez.
yeah,
And he can be instant offense off the bench.
yeah. When you've got Kylan, Kasparis, Ivisic in your starting five, those three can carry the team offensively.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're starters. And then if you bring Will in for Humrickhouse there at the first media or whatever, I kind of like that because Trey White, he doesn't, as he's playing right now, he doesn't give you much of anything. 6 points and 5 boards, but 4 of his 6 points were at the free throw line. 5 boards is good, but yeah, I think Brad will keep it the same.
Yeah, I think he will too. That's just who he is and what he does, and honestly, I agree with it. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Let's see. Individually, Kylan 17 points tonight, 7 rebounds for him. Will Riley, we talked about 18 points. He led Illinois in scoring. Kasper Jagashonis 15 points. 6 assists, Visic 14 points. And you kind of touched on the free throws, the rebounding, all that stuff. Do we need to go to the chat? Anything else you want to bring up here?
No one's really asking questions. A couple comments about Ty.
I mean,
I
saw
instead of Trey.
I saw Brandon's comment, 15 minutes of Ty. I would love to have that, but like if you're Ty Rogers, do you want to waste a year of eligibility on a season where you're just going to play 15 minutes a game? No, you don't. So like that's Ty's choice. I don't think this was Brad's decision. I think Brad would love to have Ty Rogers out there. But Brad knew that Ty was only going to play about 15 minutes a game. And if you're Ty, like, sorry, like I'd rather go somewhere else where I can play more. Like it's unfortunate. Like this is the world we live in, but he can make more money and play more minutes somewhere else, or maybe with Illinois next year, but probably not. So I get it, and I don't blame him. So,
what are your thoughts on Humrickhouse?
I'm not as down on him as you seem to be. I have honestly been impressed with him more than I thought I'd be. I really expected him to be nothing more than a shooter. And he's done a little bit more than I thought he would. I do think he is a liability defensively. But he did show some effort tonight, at least, that, I don't know that you were getting from everywhere on the court. Especially defensively. I think he's going to try very hard when he's out there.
Is he? I was trying to think of it during the game, and I feel like it might not have been last year. It might have been the year before. I don't remember when it was. But is there a comparison to him? I feel like there was someone else in the last couple of years that we were like, if he's not shooting the ball well, he can't be out there because he can't guard anybody. And I can't think of who that would have been. Can you
Luke
think
Goody?
of it off the top of your head? Was it Luke?
I don't know. Might have been.
I feel like Luke was good defensively last year, though.
Could have been.
The name that popped in my head, and I hate that we're stereotyping here because they're all white guys. Was it Matthew Meyer?
Could have been. Could have been. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I think he had a tendency to disappear on the defensive side.
Grandison, maybe?
Defensive end. Could have been Grandison. Yeah. I mean, he's a I mean, he's a shooter. He's a shooter that can do a little bit more. I do think he is offensively an upgrade over Luke Goody, if that's what you want to think of him as. But I struggle to see the defensive upside. I just know he's going to try really hard while he's out there. So, I don't know like what the best optimal lineup would be, and what his role in that is, but I do think he certainly has value. But yeah, there are times where you just can't have him out there.
Getting a lot of Alfonso Plummer answers to my question.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that might have been it. He went
Adam
the games
Miller.
where he wasn't shooting, he was useless.
Yeah, I think Adam Miller tried to play some defense. He had a little
Yeah.
bit of dog in him.
Yeah,
I think it was probably Plummer and Meyer were the two that I was thinking of.
yeah.
Brandon agrees with you that he thinks Ben's been solid.
Yeah, I don't think he's a total liability. Because I do think he's going to give you a lot of effort, but I
mean, probably need to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit. 2 years ago, he was playing NAIA. Last year, he was playing Missouri Valley. This is a huge step.
I mean, you have to give the entire the whole team. This is what this whole team is. One player on this entire roster has ever played significant minutes at this level. I mean, it's just Kylan. Like, yeah, Dre was on the team last year, but Trey White. Yeah, sure.
Yes. I say we got 3.
I mean, Kerry Booth, who didn't even see the floor tonight. Like, there's just not a lot. There's not a lot.
The good thing is, Ivicic 14, Yakachonis 15, Riley 18. Like, the guys with no experience are the 3 of the 4 best players.
Yeah. No, I know.
Which is crazy. I love it.
It's a different world. It's a different world.
I said it to myself or in a text to somebody, and I forgot to say it at the top. The Merez goaltending, that was that sealed the game. I think that won Alabama the game because it would have got it to 5. I think it was 7, and it would have got to 5 or 9-7, something like that. But it was at a point where if that drops, they start to tighten up a little bit on the backside.
Yeah, that
was killer.
That was brutal. Yeah. Anything else we need to go over? I mean, at this game, like, again, neither of us expected Illinois to win this game. I think, a 10-point game was an expected outcome. Ended up being a 13-point game. Like, yeah, the defense had some issues. You at times look like the inexperienced, uncohesive team that you are, but like, as you said, you also still had your 3 freshmen / newcomers put up double-digit points, and finally got some points out of Kylan Boswell. Like, I'll take it, honestly. I mean, this is a road game, just an hour from Tuscaloosa. So
I think it's what I said before. I saw nothing tonight that led me to believe that this team can't win the Big Ten. I've watched 2 Purdue games now. They looked fantastic against Auburn, but that was a home game. I didn't think or not Auburn, Alabama. I don't know what the line was going into it, but from the tip, I never really felt like Purdue was going to lose. I thought they controlled it pretty well, and it's hard to win in Mackey. Like, I don't know that they're going to lose a game in Mackey this year, but then they get to Milwaukee last night, and they look like a different team. So that team's going to look a lot different away from Mackey, I think. And luckily, Illinois does not go to Mackey this year. The other team I haven't seen in there's a lot of teams I haven't seen in the Big Ten, but the one that I want to watch and haven't yet is Indiana. I don't know how they've looked, but it's Indiana. Mike Woodson's still the coach. I still like our chances there. So I've seen nothing so far, including tonight, that makes me think that this team can't win the Big Ten. I mean, they have all the talent. They have everything there. Just got to give them some time.
Yeah, it will take time. it is, as Michael said, it is only November.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of basketball to be played. So yeah, Illinois falls to 3-1 with the loss. Next up, Saturday, Maryland Eastern Shore, I believe.
I think it's on the east coast of Maryland, I think.
Thank you.
Dad jokes.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's the game Saturday. That's another BTN Plus game for those looking to watch. Yeah, that's a
What's
home
their
game.
mascot?
That,
Logan Lee.
I don't have any idea. I couldn't tell you a single thing about Maryland Eastern Shore.
The Hawks.
Do you know the Hawks? Okay, very on brand for
It's
Maryland.
in Princess Anne, Maryland. That's where it's at.
Okay. Well, we finally do have a tip time for that game. Isn't it like 4 or something?
4 Eastern. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know that I'll be available for a show.
I won't either. I won't either.
Okay. So no show on Saturday, but
and we got to get our technology figured out.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So yeah, Illinois falls to Alabama tonight, 100-87, 3-1 now on the season. Maryland Eastern Shore on Saturday before Arkansas something on Tuesday, and then the big Arkansas on Thursday. Greg Gard, what do you talk about?
Oh, I was just looking off. I was reading off the teams that Indiana is and Purdue's, and Brandon talked about how Wisconsin's playing better than they should right
beat
now,
Arizona.
And then they'll fall off. They should have and easily could have gotten beat last night against Rio Grande Valley. So
fun Big Ten basketball.
Before we leave, because I don't know when we'll do another show, and I want to do this publicly. Can you talk about your weekend?
I can.
So the sports talk is done. We're going into pop culture mode right now. Logan, what were you on Saturday and Sunday and
I'll
Friday?
just give you the story here. I've heard nothing for the last year and a half. I've heard that Allison has expressed that she wanted to go see the Eras tour, the Taylor Swift tour. Couldn't manage to get tickets. Our summer was so nuts last year with weddings and all this traveling, and we never managed to be able to go to any of the shows. Tickets were hard to get. And so I just kind of ruled it out. And then, she announced that she was going to do another US leg, including Indianapolis. So tried for a long time to get Indianapolis tickets. Failed every single time. But managed to somehow get in the ticket queue on Ticketmaster for the Toronto show, one of 6 Toronto shows. So on a whim,
there's 6.
She's doing 6. She did 3 last weekend and 3 this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was only 3.
Then
okay,
and 3 in Vancouver, and then she's done. So on a whim, Allison and I took a weekend road trip to visit our neighbor to the north, and went to see Taylor Swift in Toronto, and it was awesome. It was so cool. It was a heck of a. It was very similar to my weekend last year where I went to Penn State. This trip we left a little earlier, so I got a little bit more sleep on this trip, but very similar. But it was awesome. Like it's a heck of a show, and I get all the hubbub. Yes, tickets for the show are not cheap, but I will tell you, I got through Ticketmaster, so I did not pay the astronomical prices that people are paying to buy these tickets on StubHub and everything else. Yeah. I paid face value, so fine. But no, we had great seats. We were like the Toronto show was in the Rogers Center, which is a baseball stadium. So our seats were behind home plate in more or less like the club area almost. So like they were bigger padded seats, had access to like the lower bar area. So it was great. We had a great time. Very quick weekend. We left Friday about 3 and got home Sunday about 5. So gone for about 50 hours. But it was good. It was good. Had a good time. Didn't really
How
tell
much do you
anybody
think
beforehand.
how much do you think the hotel rooms were for that hotel that was connected to
Uh,
the Rogers Center?
very. I looked. Lots of money. Lots of
I
money.
mean, the stage would have been facing away, so you couldn't have been in your hotel
Well,
room
and
and watching.
they blocked it. They
Okay.
had curtains or something
Yeah,
up,
that makes sense.
so you
That makes
couldn't
sense.
even do it. I'm gonna guess they even locked the doors so that you couldn't even open the door from your room, because typically you could open the door um, that overlooks the outfield. But I'm sure they sold the rooms, but it was just a
Yeah,
room that had no
yeah.
view. But no, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Did you purchase a
I
T-shirt
did
or
not stand in line
merch?
for a T-shirt. No, concert T-shirts. Like, I don't want to pay $50 for a T-shirt. I just don't. Like,
Yeah,
I stood in line and I got a
souvenir cup or something.
souvenir soda cup.
Yeah,
Like that was
yeah,
it. Like, if I really want a concert T-shirt, she sells them online. Again, I don't think I'm even gonna chase that down. But like the lines were
yeah.
ridiculous. Like I just wasn't gonna do it. But no, we didn't even really have time to she didn't even have time to plan what she was going to wear. Like everybody talks about all these friendship breaks.
Mhm.
We just didn't have time. We're also in the
So,
middle of planning a wedding. So this just kind of happened very quickly.
what night did you go?
Saturday.
When did you get the tickets?
Uh, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I can tell you.
interesting.
Um,
So, I think I texted you this, but I don't know if I explained it good enough. When she was in Indianapolis, they do those ticket drops day of,
yeah.
and someone down here sent me a text and said, "Hey, follow this Twitter account, turn on notifications when they tweet, join the queue."
Yep.
That was Friday at like 3, and then at like 5, I think, the tickets dropped, and I got in line, but I was like 15,000th in line or something. I was like, "There's no
Yeah.
way." And then I left it up on my phone at 6:30. I got through, and there was like 8 total tickets left, and I panicked. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, we can't make it in time. I don't want to get these. Christy's like, get them and put them on StubHub, sell them, like make money. I was like, yeah, but then what if they don't sell? What if I spend thousands on these tickets and they don't sell? I'm out thousands of dollars. And by the time I went to get my credit card to do it and I hit it, they were like, these tickets are gone. So
Yeah. I found the same Twitter account, just kind of
we already
like
talked about the game, Terrell.
for
Sorry.
30 minutes we talked about the game. Now we're
Yeah,
talking about
you
Taylor
can
Swift.
rewind.
Um yeah, so I found that Twitter account late. But I was also trying to do the whole ticket queue and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I had also I had deleted my Twitter off my phone. I told you this. And
Yeah.
um so I wasn't even like getting notifications or anything. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to download the app. That way I can get the notifications again, like when they open up the queue or whatever. So I tried that several times. And there was one day for the indie weekend that I also got very far, but that's why I'm almost wondering if yours was the glitchy time too. Cause I had a glitchy time where like it was getting me through pretty far but it didn't actually happen. So I don't know, maybe not, but
Yeah, I
um,
waited in line for every single day at Indy,
yeah,
and there were a couple times I got down to like in the hundreds, and then
yeah.
it when I got in, it was sold out, and there were other times where I was like 11,000th, and
Yeah.
then within 30 seconds I was in the hundreds, and
Yeah.
that's when I knew, like, I figured out when it goes that quick, that means they're sold out because people are getting in immediately and they're leaving instead of getting in and looking for tickets.
So let's see. Indie weekend was
First
that
week in
was
November, I think. First
yeah,
weekend of
like the
November.
8th, 9th,
No, it would have been the weekend before that.
the
Because
first,
8th,
second.
9th, I was in
Yes, it was.
Alabama.
It was the first, second, third. So I also tried that whole weekend as well. Basically, just like you. Never got anywhere. We had kind of joked about the Toronto thing. Like, I don't think either of us really took that seriously, but like, she kept
Until
saying
you got in.
she actually like refused to go see the movie. Like, we haven't even watched the movie at home because she's like, I'm going to go see her.
Don't
see
do
her
it
live.
We couldn't. I couldn't watch it. It was bad.
And she's like refused to do it. And then so that Indy was the first, second, and third on November 5th. So the following Tuesday, I got the notification that the Toronto queues were open, and I was on my way somewhere. I was driving somewhere for work, middle of the afternoon, like 3:00 in the afternoon, that they opened the queues, and I just got in. I'm like, well, let's see what happens. I was 250 when I got in the queue.
Wow.
And a couple minutes later, it's your turn to buy, and then it's just there, just like buy a ticket. Like, okay.
That's exactly how I felt.
And then like, well, and it's Canadian dollars, so I'm trying to do this math in my head, like, what's this going to be, and all these stuff, and I ended up, and then there's the whole thing with, I ran my card, but then Capital One was like, "Are you sure this is you?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's me." And I'm standing outside in the rain doing all this, but so it happened.
Good for you.
November 5th, I bought the tickets, and we were there on November 16th. So 11 days prior to, tickets were purchased.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I was stunned when you said you said, "Guess where I'm going tonight or this weekend?" And Canada to see Taylor Swift would have been the last place I would have guessed you were going.
Happened very quickly.
I'm happy for you.
Happened very quickly. It was
nice
a good time.
Nice little pre-wedding gift for you too.
Yeah, nice little getaway just because everything else has been so stressful. So so all right, we've done enough. Sorry, Terrell and everybody else for listening to us. If anybody's even still here,
Daryl, but it's pronounced Darrell.
I apologize. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We've been on here for 40 minutes. Let's go to bed. For Craig, I'm Logan. We will not see you guys Saturday. We will probably see you the following Monday for Little Rock. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys
next time. Doubleheader Saturday, football and basketball.
ILL. Who does football play?
At Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right.
We should mention, first time since 2000 that football, basketball, and women's basketball.
This is a big deal.
Are all ranked. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Good time for
all hail Josh Whitman, baby.
That's right. We will #we will win.
#we